What is up, guys? How are you all doing? I'm doing great, thanks for asking. And we're back here with a quick video where I'll talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is the Rainbow Six Siege beta. Yes sir, the beta is still going on. I believe it's a closed beta, but at this point it might even be an open beta. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, there's some sort of beta going on right now and it's fantastic, and I just want to give my impressions and kind of review the beta thus far and tell you what the game is like if you haven't played it. I believe the beta has been extended for a little bit longer, so you can still get in on the action for a few more days. However, this is just kind of my take on what the game feels like, what it plays like so far. Now remember, first things first, this is a beta, it's a closed beta or whatever, but it's very close to the game's launch, so in not so distant future the game is going to be launched, and it means that the game won't change that much because there's not that much time to change anything. So pretty much what you see is what you get. If you haven't played it, then obviously you can watch the gameplay and listen to this review. If you have played it, then you know what it's like, and it means that that's pretty much what you're going to get when you pay for the game. Anyways, let's get right into it. First of all, the maps are fantastic. I mean, each one feels different, it feels unique. There are different levels of entry, different forms of entry. The destruction is incredible, it's very unique and it's very stylized, and every time you see it, you never get bored. I mean, every time you breach through a window or a door, you're like, oh my god, that was fantastic, let's do that again right away. And it's very effective in terms of the gameplay, so it plays into the game very, very well. It's not one of those kind of gimmicky things that only looks good on a video or just for like a trailer. No, it actually has functionality and it works and it's fantastic. Apart from that, like I said, the maps are really good. There's different levels of entry, there's different forms of entry, there's different tiers and levels of the map itself, and there's many routes that you can take, and it's just a cool game. I mean, personally, my favorite type of games are police shooters, especially tactical shooters like SWAT 3 and SWAT 4. Personally, SWAT 4 was my favorite game of all time. I feel like Rainbow Six Siege will take the #1 position in that kind of game genre or game category because it has everything I'm looking for. It's SWAT 4 on steroids, basically. And I'm personally a huge fan of the Rainbow Six series, and I'm glad that they are rebooting it and restarting the series because it was a beloved franchise for me, and to do it this well is fantastic. I mean, when I heard Rainbow Six Patriots getting cancelled, I was like, oh man, it was going to be a great Rainbow Six game, and now it's not going to happen. But now that I found out that they cancelled that game and made this one, Rainbow Six Siege, I'm just glad that there's some sort of new Rainbow Six game that's coming out. But anyways, that's a different story. As for the guns itself, each gun has its own unique recoil pattern, and you need to master it and use it and understand what it's like. Each weapon has various types of attachments that you can put on. Obviously it changes from weapon to weapon. You can't put as many attachments on a pistol or a handgun or a revolver compared to an assault rifle or a carbine. So that's a pretty good standard. There is a wide variety of weapons and gadgets and tools. I mean, the shields are a little bit OP and a little bit kind of douchey in my personal opinion, but they have a place in the game, and there are ways in which you can combat it and kind of fight back against them, and it's a very tactical based game. It's a tactical shooter, so using tactics is very important. This is not going to be one of those games you can just jump in and start shooting things and hope for the best like Call of Duty. It's not going to happen, which is why I personally like it more. But the guns really do feel good. I mean, like I said, the recoil patterns are individualized for each one, the way they feel and especially the way they sound, depending on where you shoot it. If you shoot it in single fire, burst fire or automatic modes, and the caliber of round that it shoots, it's just fantastic. The sounds that are emitted from the game itself in terms of ambient sounds, and the gun sounds themselves, and the footsteps, and every little sound that you hear in the background or the foreground, it just plays into the game's tension very, very well. And sound is often overlooked in video games, which is a shame, but in this one, in Rainbow Six Siege, sound is just perfect. They have absolutely nailed the sounds in general for the game, especially for the guns. When you fire them, it genuinely sounds like a gun has gone off in your hands, and it feels powerful. It doesn't feel like you just fired a plastic looking thing that doesn't even look like it could do any damage. You'll probably do more damage if you threw it at the guy. No, it sounds like a proper weapon. It feels like a proper weapon, and when it goes off in your hand, it goes off with an almighty bang, and you're like, okay, some shit's going down. So it's very, very cool in that nature, but it's also very realistic. The bullet trajectories and the projectiles that are fired, the explosions, the damage that they can cause to players and the environments, you know, the destructible environment and things like that, it's very, very cool. Because I love realism and I love tactics in video games, and the fact is that if you fire a round through a house, it's going to go through the wall, depending on what type of wall it is and depending on the caliber of the round, of course, but they've put in all that realistic stuff into the game. And like I said, going back to the thing about the shield and whatnot and the breaching, it's not just a gimmick, it actually works, it has a place in the game, and it functions beautifully. And I feel as though the developers have really paid attention to the fine details of the game, and they've made it as perfect as it can be, because a lot of games are released these days, especially AAA titles, where the developers seem like they've put in effort, but they haven't gone that extra mile. They just kind of created a game for the the sake of creating a game. But with Rainbow Six Siege, I don't get that feeling. I feel like it's a premium game and it feels very well made and very polished. Now, it is an online multiplayer shooter, so obviously you're going to have PvP elements, but there's also a co-op element, and I like that because sometimes you don't feel like playing PvP or you don't feel like playing against other people. You just want to kind of chill, but you want to play the game, you want to indulge in the game still, and having a co-op mode enables people to do that, and that's really a good feature. You and 4 other people can jump into a game and just start shooting bots, and there's various different game modes within co-op itself as well. So you have like a standard breaching and entry, you go and hunt the terrorists and you kill all of them, or sometimes you have to defend an environment and the terrorists come hunt you and you have to protect yourself and defuse the bombs and whatnot. So there's a variety of game modes within co-op alone. Again, it's just these extra little details that makes the game even better than its competitors, and I genuinely feel like Rainbow Six Siege is a premium game, and I feel as though that no matter what you pay for it, it's going to be worth it. If you put the time into it, if you play the game, you will really thoroughly enjoy it. I haven't enjoyed an FPS game this much in a long time. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan of Rainbow Six, but genuinely Rainbow Six Siege is a fantastic game, and I can't wait for it to be launched fully so that I can unlock everything and play everything, hopefully live stream some stuff. There aren't that many features that piss me off as such in terms of, you know, negatives, because it's been a positive commentary so far, so all the good things I've talked about. However, there is, like I said, the shields are a little bit kind of douchey. I'm not a really huge fan of those, but also the bombers. If you've ever played co-op mode, there is this kind of enemy type called the bomber, which is basically a suicide bomber, and you hear this kind of beeping noise in the background and he starts running at you, and unless you shoot him in the head, he doesn't go down. You can put an entire magazine into the guy's chest and he'll keep running and running and running, and when he's about maybe 5-6 feet away from you, he'll detonate the bomb and he will explode everything, and it has a huge blast radius. It's more often than not killed me and maybe 2 other teammates in the vicinity, so that enemy is kind of annoying, but they don't put it in too often, so I guess that's not that big of a deal or big of a problem. However, personally, I don't like it. It's kind of like, again, a bit of a douchey feature. But other than that, they used to have a heartbeat sensor in the game. I don't know if they still have that. Maybe I haven't personally unlocked it yet, but I haven't seen it in the game at all. I haven't seen someone else use it, so hopefully they're taking it out of the game completely, because that was my biggest complaint about the alpha that they did a long time ago. But yeah, those are pretty much my kind of impressions of the game overall. But anyways, let me know what you think about the game. If you've played it, if you haven't played it, tell me if you're going to pre-order it, because personally I've pre-ordered it. I can't wait to play it. Like I said, it's going to be one of those fantastic games that you put hours and hours into, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the video. I want to thank you all for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video.